The worldwide microchip shortage hits Windsor's automotive sector especially hard, and it's leaving the overall economy shortchanged. Ontario's move to fund a costly cystic fibrosis drug brings relief and hope to Windsor patients. A live look at our city there, sunny, and it looks like we've got a beautiful week ahead of us. Colette Kennedy will have the full breakdown for us later in the program. Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. Thanks for watching. We begin tonight with a return to the Windsor Assembly Plant. This is what it looked like this afternoon. Employees finally back at work. It's their first shift change in weeks. Workers at the auto plant and several feeder plants around the Windsor area are embarking on just their 12th week of work for 2021. The lines have been idle for 26 weeks so far this year, and it's because of the continuing global shortage of microchips. Stellantis is just one of the automakers affected by this, and it's had a ripple effect throughout the city, felt deeply at dealer lots. Many of them across the region are nearly empty. Dale Molnar is standing by at one of these lots in Windsor. Dale, tell us more about the effect that the shutdowns have had on the city.
Yes, Katerina, I'm at Motor City Chrysler at the corner of Tecumseh and Walker Road. And as you can see behind me, even though this place does have some cars for sale, this lot over here would normally be full of vehicles, and it, of course, is empty right now. Stellantis has only been in production 12 weeks out of this year, and because of just-in-time delivery, the feeder plants are also laying people off for about the same amount of time.
A car rolls off a delivery truck at Performance Ford in Windsor, but it's something happening less often than it used to. That's because vehicle production is down due to the microchip shortage.
Our inventory levels have been down to, I would say, around 30%, if I'm not mistaken. It's like I said, it's everywhere, but I mean, we're one of the lucky ones that we still have vehicles flowing in.
The microchip shortage has increased demand in used cars, but even those lots aren't as full as they usually are. J.P. Lefebvre is a father of two girls. He drives a forklift at the Syncreon facility, which handles parts distribution for Stellantis. So he's been off as many weeks as the minivan plant has been shut down. His employment insurance benefits are about to run out.
We're trying to find things to do that are cost effective. A lot of parks, a lot of stuff like that. The bills are getting paid, but there's not a whole lot at the end once the bills are paid.
Workforce Windsor Essex estimates a good chunk of Windsor's unemployment rate at 10.6% is related to the microchip shortage.
In Windsor CMA, we would typically have about 40,000 to 41,000 jobs employed in manufacturing. That'd be full-time and part-time. This year, we're at about 33,200 jobs in manufacturing.
The union representing 22 feeder plants in the area wants to see the federal government step up and help foster microchip production in Canada.
Get some engineering group, get all together and see where we can do to build this product right here in Canada and especially in Windsor.
Meanwhile, Lefebvre is just happy to be back at work today.
Not knowing what is going on and not knowing when we're going to be back to work on a full-time basis is tough.
Now, the angst obviously continues. One analyst I spoke to last week, he saw a new car dealership, didn't have any new cars in the lot, just 4 used cars. And Katerina, at this point, we don't know how long the Stellantis plant will stay in production this time. Katerina?
And this is something we're going to be following closely. Thanks for this, Dale. The CBC's Dale Molnar live tonight. 14 parks across the city are set to get new or improved lighting to help with safety. It comes after the story CBC first reported about a pepper spray attack on a 13-year-old in a Forest Glade park earlier this month. Windsor's mayor says today's announcement was not prompted by any specific incident, but as the CBC's Jason Vio reports, he did hint at a change for neighborhood safety that is in the works.
Move my hip. Hey! 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 Hey!
Over the weekend, residents in the Forest Glade area took recent violence in their parks into their own hands.
And I think it's really important to learn these kinds of self-defense skills. I feel like it's never too young to learn that kind of thing because you can't time when something bad might happen.
We've heard all the nonsense that's gone on here, and I figured it was time for him to learn to defend himself. He's not really much of a fighter, so he needs something to be able to defend himself.
It was fun, and hey, now I can prevent myself from being harmed.
A trained 9th degree black belt began offering these self-defense courses for free after hearing of young people being bullied and attacked.
Oh, that they really didn't know what to do. And that's the thing. It's not a matter of strength or speed or power. It's a matter of knowing what to do in that given situation. And that's what I wanted to try and pass on.
Some in the neighborhood are on edge because of what happened here a little over 2 weeks ago. A 13-year-old and his friend were approached by 10 to 12 people in ski masks on a Friday night. The teens were pepper sprayed but managed to run away. Police are still searching for the suspects and say they had a taser and possibly a gun.
It's important that these spaces are well lit.
Today, an announcement for improved lighting, not just here, but at 14 parks across the city. However, residents in Forest Glade won't see much of a difference. That's because lighting upgrades for the Forest Glade Optimist Park already happened in the spring. Still, Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkins says there are discussions to help with safety at that park in other ways.
We're looking at whether we can extend the hours and the time for the Windsor Police Auxiliary, who will regularly patrol that park. In fact, during the summer months, spring, summer, and early fall, that park is patrolled almost 7 days a week through the Windsor Police Auxiliary Patrol, which is funded by the police and the Parks Department jointly.
The councillor for Ward 7, which covers the Forest Glade area, has received calls of concern too.
It should be a safer place where they can go and play and enjoy.
He's trying to organize a community meeting next month so area residents and businesses can speak to Windsor Police directly with their concerns. So far, police say there have been no arrests in the violent assault and no descriptions of the dozen suspects. Jason Vio, CBC News, Windsor.
Windsor families are rejoicing that a life-changing cystic fibrosis drug will now be covered in Ontario. Trikafta is a drug that can increase the median age of survival by 9 years for those living with the disease, which targets the lungs. It would normally cost about $300,000 a year at its list price, but Friday's news is a game changer for many.
So the news of Trikafta coming to Ontario is probably the best news I've had in my 21 years of life.
So I cried for 2.5 days.
I was just ecstatic because this drug is going to improve the lives of so many CFers.
Excitement, emotions, just very happy.
It is a game changer because it's going to mean less limitations on what activities I can do, how my schooling is affected, how my work is affected.
Knowing that she will have access to this medication regardless of her status on my insurance allows me to sleep at night knowing that I don't have to worry about that anymore.
It's going from like being stuck in the mud to you had 3 Red Bulls and you don't know where you're going. Like you don't know what is in store for you. Like you just have so much, I just feel like I'm going to have so much more energy. I'm going to be a lot healthier. I'm going to be more present in time and less fatigued and just being able to do more as a father, as a husband. And that to me is just life changing.
For so long, so many CFers, like including myself, our treatments are based on treating our symptoms, but now, they're getting to the root of the cause and really just stopping it from there. I'm not sure if I'll be eligible to take it yet, but for those that can, I'm really glad and thankful that they'll be able to.
So ever since I've been little, I've wanted to do various jobs, anywhere from being a zoologist to being a vet to being a music teacher, and I finally settled on being a music teacher. However, now I've had to start thinking about retirement savings, not something I thought I'd ever have to think about. I have to start thinking about home ownership and all these adult concepts, which were difficult given a fairly low life expectancy. And now I actually have to start figuring out adulting, which may seem very simple, but it's something I didn't think I'd ever have to think about. So my outlook on life is very positive now, and it's a lot less bad days and a lot more very hopeful and looking forward to the future.
The amount of work that has gone into making this happen is absolutely incredible. And you can't forget that there are people that didn't make it to see this day. And that is a travesty. It really is a heartbreaking thing to think about.
Eligibility criteria has not yet been firmed up by the province, but a draft recommendation from the Canadian Agency for Drug and Technologies in Health would restrict the drug to those with less than 90% lung function. Now, another update around vaccine rules at recreation facilities. The health unit says anyone going to this kind of institution will soon require proof of vaccination, and that includes those 12 and up. That age group had previously been exempt by the province, but the city of Windsor waived that exemption, and now the health unit has followed suit for the rest of the region. The acting medical officer of health says they are trying to improve the safety of the community. Meanwhile, the health unit also announced 2 new deaths from COVID-19 in our region, 2 men in their 70s. The pandemic has claimed 453 lives overall in Windsor, Essex. And since Friday, we've seen an additional 117 new COVID cases reported for this area. In Ontario, the province reported 613 new COVID cases and no further deaths. But out west in Alberta, a much different and grimmer picture. As of Friday, there was more than 20,000 active cases in the province. And today, another record number of COVID-19 patients, 312 are in intensive care. The Alberta Medical Association has issued an open letter warning the province's healthcare system is on the verge of collapse. The association says ICUs are running at well over 150% of normal capacity. The demand is being driven by critically ill COVID-19 patients. The letter says workers must be diverted from other areas, and that could have major consequences. And those include the postponement of surgeries, important diagnostic tests, and various treatments. Meanwhile, Premier Jason Kenney has rejected calls for a hard lockdown. Annamie Paul says she is stepping down as leader of the Green Party. It comes after the party saw very little gain in the recent federal election. The outgoing leader called her 1 year at the helm the worst period in her life.
When I was elected and put in this role, I was breaking a glass ceiling. What I didn't realize at the time is that I was breaking a glass ceiling that was going to fall on my head and leave a lot of shards of glass that I was going to have to crawl over, throughout my time as a leader.
Paul also lost in her own riding of Toronto Centre in last week's election. She blamed the party's performance on a lack of strong funding and resources needed to run a successful campaign. Nationally, the Green Party earned less than 400,000 votes this time, compared to more than 1 million in 2019. Moving now to international news. Britain is in the midst of a major fuel supply crisis. Long lines of vehicles have formed for days at many gas stations across the country, with many pumps running completely dry. As Chris Brown reports, it's not because of a fuel shortage, but from a major lack of truck drivers.
We're in Marylebone, just north of central London, at a Shell gas station, and they're among the most popular places in London if you can in fact find a gas station that is open and that has gas. The lineup here stretches 3 or 4 blocks, mostly taxis and delivery vehicles and other people who rely on driving their cars for a living. What's the problem? Well, it's not like Britain's run out of gas, but the problem, according to the government, is that there's a problem with finding enough drivers to bring their trucks of gas to the gas station. So Britain is short truck drivers, and the government says this is because of COVID, because they weren't able to train enough drivers over the last 18 months, and now that people are back in their cars, there's a shortage. So what is it doing? Well, Boris Johnson's government says they've authorized 5,000 visas. So they're going to try to get Europeans to come over and drive those trucks instead. But a lot of people we've talked to, not just in this line, but in other lines, so they don't really believe that. They say the problem is essentially Brexit, that a lot of those truck drivers that used to do the job got kicked out when Britain left the EU, and now they're being offered jobs to come back. One possibility, it's gotten to the point where Britain may well have to call in the army and use military truck drivers to deliver the gas. That is a last resort that so far the government here has yet to pull the trigger on. Chris Brown, CBC News in London.
Farmers in India are blocking some of the major roads and highways leading into the nation's capital. Today marks 1 year since a controversial legislation was passed, triggering demonstrations against the government. The changes were touted as a way to modernize the country's agriculture and boost production. But the protesting farmers say they instead take away the protection of guaranteed crop prices, among other things. CBC's Salma Shivji reports.
This is the highway leading to India's capital, New Delhi. We're about an hour's drive away, but the farmers here have set up camp. They can't go any further because there is a makeshift police barricade a little bit further down the road in this highway. But these farmers are here with a very clear and strong message for the Indian government. They say they will block roads, they will disrupt this government until those 3 controversial farm laws are repealed. Now, the government says that the laws are necessary to modernize the industry and that farmers will benefit, but the farmers here say, no way, that won't happen. Today is of particular significance for the farm laws. It's been now 1 year since they officially became law, and that's why the farmers are out here and in several other locations all around New Delhi to make their point known. Some farmers have come from kilometers away on their tractors. This one farmer came on an 8-hour tractor ride. He says it was a tough journey to make it here, but he said he had to be here. He wants to make his point known that he will lose money with these new farm laws and will lose out on appropriate prices for his crops. Now, union leaders here say that they're sending a message to the government as well, saying that they will disrupt local state elections that are coming up early next year, and that they will make life difficult for India's Prime Minister and his party, the BJP. He believes the farmers have political momentum and they're going to use it. Now, all around here, the rallying cries are ringing out in unison. They say, we're strong, we're patient, and we're not going anywhere. Salima Shivji, CBC News, in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh.
All right, we got a live look here at our riverfront, and it is sunny right now, and it'll be sunny tomorrow, and it'll also probably be sunny the day after that, if Environment Canada is correct as things stand right now. But Colette Kennedy will be here with all the details right after the break. Stay with us. Colette Kennedy is here now for a look at weather. Colette, I think we're really lucky in these parts because it is another beautiful day today.
Yeah, incredible with the temperatures and some humidity, kind of a little more like summer-like than really feeling like fall. But that's going to be changing. And let's hear it for Harrow. 26.9 hot spot in Ontario. There you go. And pretty close. Windsor, we're still holding here at 26 degrees. I wanted to show you some of the other readings, though, because look at this cooler air. Okay, I know it's into northern Ontario for Kapuskasing that you might expect those cooler readings, but some of that's going to be sinking southward. And as they get into some clearing into even northeastern Ontario further south, talking about the risk of some frost this evening, so that's interesting. But by the way, I mentioned the hot spot in Ontario, not the hot spot in Canada. That's in Saskatchewan, Yellowgrass North, where they're in the low 30s right now. Unfortunately, that extreme heat not necessarily coming our way because of high pressure kind of building down, and that's why the clearing, the areas into that frost advisory. I know it's still pretty far away, but it just kind of tells you, wow, it's that time of year, right? And we're going to get into some single-digit lows coming up later this week. But showing you again those current readings, 25 for Chatham, Kent, Sarnia, there at 19. We do have a little bit of a disturbance, still some of that humidity, and that disturbance kind of coming through tonight. So although things are dry at the moment, how this is going to start to set up is we'll see a little bit of a band that wants to kind of push through, and that's going to move through Sarnia and in towards London. And as it does, we'll see that move over towards the Niagara region, kind of hugging eventually along the north shore of Lake Erie here. So we could see a spotty shower into Windsor as well, but then overnight tonight, a clearing trend. A few isolated thunderstorms in there, not out of the question. High pressure comes in, not many features to look at into Wednesday. We'll see a little bit of that cloud deck move back into eastern Ontario, but we're not going to get too concerned about there. Some fair weather cloud perhaps is all coming our way. Overnight tonight, again, enjoy the double digits for those overnight temperatures. You're not seeing them, Sarnia and London, once we get into clearing behind that system. Tomorrow, though, very different from today. Still a pleasant day, but more of a northerly flow and feeling a little more fall-like, slightly less summer-like. Wednesday, just slightly warmer. Thursday, looking good. Do you notice the absence of anything on here? Yeah, the chance of showers. That could change as we get later on in the week, but really tonight's kind of the best chance. But check out some of those overnight lows there too, Katerina.
And it's amazing to even see the temperature climbing throughout the week. And it's late September.
I know, right?
Happen?
I know, look, it's Saturday.
But I love it. Thank you so much, Colette.
You're welcome.
And when we come back, we have a beautiful story for you about a 17-year-old performing healing dances for her grandmother in hospital. Stay with us. A woman and her dog are dead after being struck by a train last night in Chatham. Police are now looking into the incident involving a 42-year-old Chatham woman. Emergency crews responded around 11:30 p.m. in the area of Park Avenue West near Wedgwood Avenue. The Via Rail train was traveling westbound from Toronto to Windsor at the time. Chatham-Kent police say the circumstances remain under investigation and they are asking anyone with information or video footage to contact them. In Northern Ontario, 39 miners trapped underground are now making their way to the surface after an incident yesterday afternoon. Mining company Vale says the workers are using a secondary ladder system to get out of the shaft at the Todden mine in Sudbury. They're being supported by the mine rescue team. Company officials say no one was injured and they expect all the trapped workers to reach the surface tonight. The company says the workers have access to food, water and medicine and have stayed in frequent contact since the incident. R&B singer R. Kelly has been convicted in a sex trafficking trial in New York. The federal jury found Kelly guilty of racketeering on their second day of deliberations. Several accusers testified during the trial alleging abuse and perverse behavior spanning 3 decades. Prosecutors accused him of using his stardom to lure women and underage girls for years. Apart from this New York case, the 54-year-old singer has also pleaded not guilty to sex-related charges in Illinois and Minnesota. Trial dates in those cases have yet to be set. Facebook is pausing its development of Instagram for Kids. The social media giant had been working on a version of the photo sharing application made for children under 13. The company says the pause will give more time to work with parents and regulators. Child safety groups have been critical, warning of the dangers of screen time to children's mental health. And a 17-year-old is performing healing dances for her grandmother, who is in the hospital with COVID-19. She started dancing alone in front of the Regina General Hospital a few days ago, and then a friend joined her.
I'm here to dance and heal my grandmother, my cookum. Lorna's standing ready. She was diagnosed with COVID-19 with the new variant, the new Delta variant, and I'm here to help heal and do the traditions that I was taught in any which way I can. I'm helping my friend with prayers and healing and a little bit of uplifting. As she said, dance means a lot to us. It was, this is how we've been brought up. These are our ways. We all live on Turtle Island, and if one person has it, it can be transferred to another. And we just got to make sure that everyone is safe and taking these precautions, wearing a mask, sanitizing, and keeping everyone safe. Because with the feeling that I feel right now, I wouldn't want anyone else, like any other person, to feel the way that I'm feeling.
That's so powerful. That is it for CBC Windsor News. Thank you so much for watching. The Rick Mercer Report is up next, and you all have a wonderful night.